I've been interested in this watch since it came out in 2019. See, I've always had this pathology which makes me want to be different. If something is popular, I can't be involved, even if it's great. Do I like the steel Omega Seamaster? I do. Could I own one? Probably not, it's just too popular. So when I first saw this unusual ceramic Seamaster 300, yeah, this interested me. Now, I didn't buy this watch. This watch belongs to my buddy John. John owns and has owned some watches that would make you believe in God. Many of the most popular pieces from Patek, AP, Rolex, and this is the watch that John has been wearing the most, and I want to find out why. Omega refers to this as it does to all the watches in this collection simply as a Seamaster Diver 300. And at a quick glance, you might say, it looks like all the others to me, to which I would first say, how dare you talk to me? And then I would say, check this out. The standard Seamaster 300 watches are 42mm across, have steel cases, a date complication, and a bracelet option. This Seamaster 300 is 43.5mm across, uses a black ceramic case, has no date, and is only available on this rubber strap or a Fancy Pants Omega NATO strap. At $8,100, it's also $3,000 more than the steel Seamaster on a rubber strap. Let's take these differences one at a time. The size, the material, and the design. 43.5mm across, 51mm long, and 14.5mm thick. It has 21mm lugs because Omega doesn't care about your strap collection. And on a rubber strap, it weighs only 110 grams. Like other Seamasters, it's water resistant to 300 meters, which makes me wonder why it's nearly a millimeter thicker than the other Seamasters. It doesn't feel especially thick because of the width of the watch, but if it could be more thinner, that would be more better. This is a large watch, there ain't no way around that. On my 7-inch wrist, it doesn't feel bulky, it feels good, and I think it looks good too. It's basically just an embiggened version of the 42mm Seamaster. And yes, embiggened is a perfectly cromulent word. And because the case shape hasn't really been modified, the lugs don't turn down any more than on the smaller Seamasters, which is to say, the lugs really don't turn down at all. Because of that, you're gonna have a little bit of space between the case back and where the strap connects to the watch. So if your wrist is smaller than my 18cm wrists, you're likely gonna have some overhang. I say wear whatever size you want. If oversized is a look you like, go ahead and put this on your 5-inch wrist. Just live your life. Here's the 43.5mm ceramic Seamaster next to a 44mm Panerai PAM 111. The Omega looks more than half a millimeter smaller to me. I think that's because of the bezel and especially because of the black case. And it's like, how much more black could it be? And the answer is none. None more black. And of course, that's because this is made out of ceramic. Well, the case, the dial, and the bezel insert are made of ceramic. The case back, the bezel, and the hands are made of grade 5 titanium. I have the same issue with this bezel that I have with all other Seamaster 300s. I have a hard time turning it. Even pressing down on the ceramic insert and turning, I can't get a grip, which has been a problem my whole life. What Omega can do with ceramic is just amazing though. I once owned a gray side of the moon and this case reminds me of that. Omega is able to finish ceramic like they'd finish steel. Pristine polish, very fine brushing, crisp edges, it's really something special. And maybe even more special because these finishes are almost totally scratch resistant. You are not going to scratch this ceramic. You could shatter it, that you could do, but scratching, almost impossible with normal use. So if you don't drop the watch, it'll look brand new forever. The dial is also ceramic with waves etched by lasers. This is not unique to this reference, but it's just another example of Omega's ceramic expertise. And the dial is unblemished by a date window. I know that's really important to some of you. Other Seamasters have a date at 6 o'clock, which helps maintain some symmetry, but this takes that to the logical conclusion. And I admit, this looks good. Better, even. And that's the reason the movement in here is the 8806 as opposed to the 8800. It ain't got no date, just like a watch collector on a Friday night. There's a lot to say about Omega's movements, and most of these things are really good. This is a master chronometer certified by METAS. That means that the movement was tested not just on its own, but also once it was actually in the watch case. To get this certification, the watch must perform at least as good as 0 to +6 seconds per day. This one is running better than +1 second per day. The movement is also anti-magnetic to 15,000 Gauss, thanks in part to a silicon balance spring. The movement is machine finished in the style of arabesque, which is a French word that means, "It's so trippy, bro." I think. I don't know. The only mediocre thing about this movement is the 55 hours of power reserve. Better than 40 hours from an ETA or Sellita for sure, but 55 hours is good, not great. But as a complete package, man, this watch is cool as fuck. And I think for $8,100, it's appropriately priced. My initial concern was about the size. I think that's probably a common concern about this watch. And yeah, it's gonna look really big on a lot of wrists, but I don't think it's gonna feel too big. With its light weight, even at 14.5 millimeters thick, it's gonna feel comfortable. This works for me. This is a Seamaster for people who have seen too many Seamasters. People who want to try something slightly different, and especially people who think they're just a little better than everyone else. You know, watch collectors.